Hey Mark, we're back again. Strategy and conversions. This is actually episode 5. Who would have knew?
Episode 5. Amazing.
Just from that first chat, we thought we'd record it. Now we're on episode 5. I guess the next milestone is going to be 10. And then we just keep going, right?
We're going for that YouTube Silver Award, isn't it? One of the Platinum Awards, really.
That's the plan, mate, and the podcast and all sorts. Let's see what happens. You can only do but try.
That's true.
And like we've always said in the kind of other episodes, it's all about momentum. It's all about getting involved and moving forward. And who knows where that comes, but it all starts from the tiniest actions.
It does. It's the first step. Absolutely. It all starts from the first step.
Yes, and we talked on last week's podcast or video. We kind of started with, we don't know what we're going to talk about. And in all fairness, we never really do. We usually start off with a couple of minutes before, and we're just like, what should we talk about?
Yeah, that's right.
And just like total transparency, just before the call, I was telling you, I said, I seen a bit of, I saw a clip from a company called Digital Marketer, which is a company in the States, a guy called Ryan Deiss. Lots of people have been involved in this company, lots of the kind of guru people who've come about in marketing. They've always been in and involved in some sort of way. And I followed their stuff for quite some time. I think I did some of their certifications back, the every year and stuff like that. So I always check up to see what's going on. As with anything, trying to be the top of your game, you see whatever people are doing and everything. And there was this clip from a gentleman called Donald Miller. He has a book called The Story Brand.
Okay.
You ever come across that one?
I haven't, but I've heard you mention it a couple of times.
It's a great book. You should definitely check it out.
I'll check it out. I will check it out. Yeah.
I want to say it's a good sort of like 10 years old or something like that now. Maybe not as old, but it's not a new book. But the content of it is just really about how stories sell and how, like, if you build your own kind of story, or you tell your story, it's not something to lie or anything like that. Everyone has a story, right?
Yeah.
So he's that guy. He basically does that, and he went into his business kind of evolved from build a story brand into marketing made simple, and now business made simple. And actually, you probably like it. There are not a lot of sort of analogies and metaphors. I know when we talked before about business being like a car, like a vehicle. They do it as an airplane.
Yeah. Okay.
They talk about the engines and the fuel and the pilot and all that kind of stuff. So it's the same kind of thing. But anyway, this guy Donald Miller, he's talking about stories and how stories sell, and he comes back into basically content. Everything comes back to content, or more so copy. He's saying that you need the right copy on your messages, and he's saying it doesn't matter if it's a website, if it's an ad, if it's just like a leaflet or whatever it is, you need the right copy.
Yeah.
And he basically said, like, with copy, you could have a rubbish looking website, sales page or a sales letter, but you could have fantastic copy and it will get you results, it will get you sales. Whereas you have the most beautifulest looking website, you can have amazing artwork on the sales letter, but rubbish copy, and you get nothing. And as soon as I saw it, mate, I thought of you, and I was just, I've got to tell Mark this one. And I know we briefly touched on it just before, and I was like, we'll save this, just as we get into it. But I know it would be your cup of tea with the whole kind of copy side. I mean, that is what you preach, right?
Absolutely. And it's absolutely, it's really good. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the whole thing, you can have a pretty crappy looking website or mediocre looking website, but it's the motion, and it may be the person who sees the website, the first thing they think, oh, that's not brilliant, but then they'll see a headline that really, really resonates with that emotion that they are in a particular time, and they will still read on. And like you said, I mean, I've seen so many corporate websites that I've actually declined writing copy for, where I've been asked to write copy for, and they're just so boring. They're just, the website might look very flash, but if you don't engage with it, it's got to be engaging, and part of it's a combination of the two things, but it's got to engage with emotion, so it can engage with the emotion of it being also a really nice website to look at. But what is it telling me? What and if you don't understand because that in itself is a little bit of a journey. So the whole idea is you read it and you know what it's asking you to do, or you know what it's about. And if that's not clear, if the copy is pretty bland or just doesn't jump out at you, you're still going to just move on to another website. Whereas if you have that one that, you can look at it and think, well, it's not the best of sites, but this sounds really, really interesting to read. Bang, that's the difference. A lot of people will look and just move on because some people just don't want to read anything. But that's the kind of people that you're never going to probably sell to, because I guess their mind is just always looking for the next thing. But it's when something can jump out at them and say, and make them think, well, actually, that looks like it's a really interesting article to read, because it's the headline, and maybe it's the first paragraph, but it's always the headline is the most important thing that attracts them, and it's got to be it's got to hit that emotion. So it depends on what state they're looking at. But if they've gone to a website that you've advertised, even if the website isn't good, they've gone there for a reason. So even if the website doesn't satisfy that reason and the copy does, they're still going to read the copy.
Totally. I think that's exactly it, isn't it? Is that, like you said, it could be a website that's really flashy. A lot of work could have gone into it, a lot of development. Especially on the tech side. It's actually, I was talking to someone the other day actually, and the guy was just like totally transparent. He just said, "I'm a techie." He said, "I build apps and I build websites and stuff like that, but I'm a techie." He said, "I don't get involved in any of the marketing stuff." And it's like, I think you find that a lot with the likes of, especially web development, is that you either get the techie side, or you get the, I was going to say marketing side, more the kind of, I guess the look and feel, the branding, and stuff like that. Rather than the sales and conversion kind of side to it. When what is it really we're looking for that website to do?
Yeah, and that is, and that's got to be that always has to be the overriding question, I think, for anything that you create. If you're going to put time and effort or money or all of it into doing something, there's got to be a return. And if it's just there for the sake of it being there and not doing anything, then it has been a waste of time, effort, and money. So what you're looking for, what I would say to most people, and obviously I know that you preach from the same input, but the thing is that has to be there for a reason. If it's there, why is it there? What's the purpose? If the purpose is to move them along a process, a part in your sales process, and it's doing that, then it doesn't matter how it looks particularly. I mean, some sales pages they're pretty rubbish looking, but if the content moves people along in the sales funnel to eventually buying a product, then it serves its purpose. It's better than a flashy looking website that just doesn't. It's trying to either preach to too many people at once, so it's a completely diluted message, or it's just boring. Boring to read.
Totally. And I guess look, what we're not saying is that it can't look good. It can still look good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the whole point is obviously that the big thing now, I think, is why. I think that's for me. Whenever we're kind of looking at something, it's like, okay, why?
Why is it there? Yeah.
It's like,
what's the purpose?
And even with the kind of process, then of okay, look, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get customers, potential customers to see X, Y, Z. Okay, why?
Yeah.
Why do we want that? Oh, because we want them to do this. Why? Oh, because we want them to do that. It's like, great, let's bypass those two parts. Let's just bring them straight in. Okay, let's not run ads to tell people that who we are and what we're about, so that we can send them off to our page on the website to read more about us and our amazing company, with the hope then that we can send them to our services page, and we can tell them all the different services that we do. Let's just send them straight into that sales page.
And this is where the whole thing about strategy comes in, isn't it? It's the steps. The strategy is the steps. So you have a 5-step strategy, for example. 1 leads to 2, leads to 3, leads to 4, leads to the sale, for example. That's a very simplistic model. But the whole idea is it's not just 1 and 3 that are not really connected. It's an actual not necessarily sequential maybe, but it's a stepping process. It's saying, right, you want them to go to this next. Why do you want to go to this? For this particular outcome. Then you want to go and do this because this is the outcome you eventually want. So everything, like you said, everything has a, well, why are they taking this step? Are there too many steps? Or even does it link together? Maybe there needs to be a further step in there that will actually link those things together. And once you ask the why questions constantly, like you're saying, why do you do it? Then it becomes so much more clear. You get much more clarity on why you're putting things in place. And like I said, you're putting time and effort or money if you're delegating it into getting it done. So you've got to know it's part of a process that is going to lead to the outcome you're looking for.
That's a big part of it, isn't it? There's a lot of front end marketing that people pay for, people buy into, which is all good stuff. And we have to be in it to win it. We have to do that kind of marketing to show people that we're opening the door to our business as if we had a physical shop. But the whole point is that is the front end stuff. What we're looking to do is bring them back into those steps like you were describing. And that's for me from a strategy point of view. We're looking at those steps. So what we're doing is just say, right, everyone just goes, right, okay, I want customers, right? That's what we want.
Ultimately,
and you know what? There is that possibility. Go back to last week when I said it. If you break your leg, you just want to get to the hospital and get it fixed. You don't need to have a consultation with someone to see if you broke your leg. You broke it.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you want to jump straight to that end, and there could be different steps in between, and some people could jump over some of them. Some will need to go all the way through and be nurtured.
Some will. Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that process there is the kind of strategy that we want to put in place for any business. That to me is what builds out the sustainable acquisition system. People are always going into that pipeline, they're always moving along and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in an ideal world, everyone who enters will go through to buy. But that's not always the case.
No.
What happens is people drop off. And what I reckon a high percentage of businesses do is when those people drop off, they're just like, okay, that person dropped off. When actually that person is still quite interested. That person might just need a nudge. They might need reeling back into the process, but they kind of missed that. Something really interesting that I spotted last week. We're talking about with this Donald Miller thing. It was on Digital Marketer, which is the Ryan Dice company. Not sure if it's just his company or other people, but he's like the front man. There was this thing that they were running. They were running an ad, and it said double your sales. So it's like, okay, that's quite interesting. Everyone wants to double their sales. So I checked this out. So I had a little look, and like straight away you could see that basically this was like an affiliate deal going on with a company called Keep. So Keep is the rebrand of a software called Infusionsoft.
Oh, okay, I know that. I remember that.
It's a bit like a kind of a high-end CRM / email service, and it used to get trolled a bit. People used to call it Confusionsoft because it's like you needed a degree basically to be able to figure out how to use it. But they basically rebranded to Keep. It's a lot more kind of user friendly. We should put an affiliate link on here. I'm picking it up now, but it's all user friendly. It's all nice and stuff. And this was like this kind of deal was Ryan Dice. He's basically saying, look, the reason the way to double your sales is to follow up, because most businesses don't follow up. And the way that you can follow up on automation is send emails through Keep and all this kind of stuff. But some of the stats that came out of it were really interesting. And he was basically saying that most businesses, almost 50% of businesses never follow up.
Amazing. And I've come across people who actively won't because they don't like doing it. They say, oh, I never follow up anything. If they want to deal with me, they'll deal with me. And you think, the fortune, as I'm not sure who started this saying, but it's been bandied around for many, many years. The fortune is in the follower.
Definitely. Definitely. And that's it, like the whole kind of strategy side and stuff and all the kind of front end marketing is so many people, they put so much effort into those kind of steps just working, not thinking, okay, look, we might still need to put some work into it, or we need to ask ourselves the question, what if that doesn't work? What then? What do we do next? If we get two people in and one person says yes and one person says no, well, that one person moves on. But the no person, well, what happens to them?
Yeah.
Because if you're not following up or you're not doing anything, it's as if you're just pushing them back out the door and saying, "Well, see you later," then, when actually they could be really interested.
Yeah.
But all they need is just a bit more information, or something like that to let them know.
And it's interesting because this comes back to something we were talking about last week, is the amount of touches, the amount of times that we contact people. So the whole point about that is that what they should do is go onto an email nurturing list. And it's, again, you have the email marketing, and you're just constantly not trying to be actively selling to them, but you're just drip feeding information, and every now and then there'll be the call to action. But it's just those different points. So instead of they follow up. Instead of them, they don't buy from you at that particular time because it may not be just right for them. There may be something going on, or they may not have read that final email or that message or whatever that says, move on to this particular.
It may not be the right time for them.
Yeah, and so they drop off, like you said, but they could still be interested. But it's instead of why should the question is, isn't it? Why should I buy from you now? So when you're doing the final piece of copy, you're trying to answer that question, and now may not be the right time for them. But as you said, they're still interested. But if you're never going to follow them up, then, which a lot of people don't, then they're just, when the next person comes along with the same message that you had, they're going to buy from them.
That's
especially if that person follows up.
That's what I see. Is a case of, I think, especially at the times that we live in now, is the person who shouts the loudest gets heard. I think what's the term? Is it like the squeaky wheel gets the oil?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That kind of thing is that you don't go oiling all different wheels. It's just the one that's squeaking. That's the one you go to. But I think with that, like you said, it's that kind of follow up. So we said about the different touches of sales and that, and we got into it that years back it would be people just calling. So they will call, and then next month they'll call again, and next month they'll call again. It's like, well, we've got all the systems now that we can just do that on autopilot.
Oh, it's
I mean, it's insane. And so we say about this software, Keep It, it's not the cheapest, but it is really good. And what you can do is, you can figure out if the system basically figures out, okay, look, if someone has read this email, well, then we send them this email rather than sending them that email.
Yeah.
Or if someone clicks on this to go and find out more information, well, actually, then we're going to sell them this email. And then it gets really kind of complicated in building it out and everything, but it's all worth, spending the time or money to get that done, to sort it out. Going back to that double your sales kind of thing, is that there was another stat in there that said that over 50% of sales happen after the 5th contact.
Wow. Okay.
And it's like, so almost 50% of businesses never follow up. But over 50% of sales happen after the 5th contact.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's just wasted money, right? And all your marketing and stuff like that. If you think like the amount of people who don't buy from you, well, actually, if you just followed up with them, 5 times, 50%.
And like you mentioned, then, okay, I mean, you've got systems now that can automate all that process and let you know what's happening. But the amount of channels we've got to follow up on. So again, like you said, it used to be the phone, and then it became the phone or email. But we've got things like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, direct mail, direct contact in LinkedIn. Whatever. We have so many ways of just dropping a line to someone saying, I just wondered how your business was going, how you doing. And it's almost like it's almost sacrilege that you don't follow up 5 times. It's so easy to do that even if you're doing it manually, it doesn't take long just to send a quick message. It doesn't have to be a long message. The whole point is just to
check in.
Yeah, it's that keeping you front in that person's mind.
And that's
interesting, actually. Sorry, there's a guy, a LinkedIn guy, isn't there? Greg Cooper, and his business is called Front of Mind Coaching, and it's all about being visible. And the touches are the visible. You just constantly sending them stuff in. They recognize your name, so they see your name, and just constantly keeping in touch with them is keeping front of mind. That's the big thing.
And that's something I was just going to touch on. It's like when we were saying about why someone maybe doesn't buy right now. It could be that maybe the money just isn't there. Maybe they've had to spend out on some machinery or some software or something like that, and the money isn't quite there for marketing. Or flip side, maybe they've spent a lot of money on marketing and the money's not there for software. That kind of thing. Whatever the kind of sales is that you're looking to do. But the thing is, if you go right, okay, they're not interested, or they can't afford it, and you just leave it. And then 3 months later, you see that they've gone with someone else because that person has been, basically nurturing them and talking with them and stuff like that and letting them know that they can help. When, all you did was say, right, okay, look, they can't buy, so I'm not going to deal with them.
Yeah.
It's just you are actually cancelling yourself out of the race.
Absolutely.
Following up with people.
And, I wonder if there's an element also, people not knowing how to follow up. So, because when going back to this quote, the fortune is in the follow up. People think that the follow up must be, I must sell. So if they didn't buy, the follow up has got to be another message about buying. And it doesn't have to be. The follow up can just be simple greeting. Hi, I haven't spoken to you for a couple of days. Just wanted to check in and see how things work. That's all it needs to be.
That's exactly, isn't it? And I think, like you said, there's maybe people don't know how to follow up, but maybe it's more about that kind of mindset, that psychology of them. They either don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So instead of them, thinking, right, okay, this person didn't buy. Is it me? I've done it. Do they not value me or something like that? And maybe thinking, I don't know what to say now. Or maybe it's that they don't want to come across as being too pushy. And I think, especially us, like the British, I think we do have that side to us. I think if you look at kind of, if you look at the likes of, say, Grant Cardone, you look at some of the Americans, and they're just like, you got to hustle, you got to push to sell and all that kind of stuff. Where, us in Britain, we're just a bit like, well, we can help you if you want. And it's like you put the ball back in their court.
Yeah, I think so, and I think there's a balance. I mean, I think sometimes some of the American stuff that comes out, it is, to us, is again being British. It is too pushy, whereas that's a different culture in the States, and I think they obviously seem to thrive on that. But I think in Britain, I think we are too laid back sometimes, and it hasn't got to be. And I think, you're right. It's this kind of confidence thing: is, am I being too pushy? And I think the answer to that is, are you offering something that is going to be of real value to them? And if it's going to be of real value to them, then I'd say, no, you're not being pushy. You're saying, I just want to offer you this opportunity again because it's really valuable because, and maybe you back that up with a testimonial or something, or a case study, whatever, but something that shows people that, you are actually giving value. And if they take you up on that offer, that there is going to be value in their business. Whereas I know, and a lot of the American stuff that comes across, and I'm using America, that's probably a bit Americanist, if there's such a. I get you. But and sometimes they follow up and there's no value in their follow up. You just think, please give me a break. I don't want to read any more stuff. So I think in the follow up, the value could just be a greeting. How are you doing today? Just interested to know how things are. That's kind of the value, to show that you're still interested in them. And I think it's the follow. As I say, if you've got a product and service of value that can benefit people, not in your arrogance, but that it's proved that it helps other businesses, then I think you should be encouraged to follow it, because you're offering them a chance to go from a position of A to B without too much without too much effort. But someone else will offer it if you don't follow up.
That's the thing,
Someone else will offer it.
So it was really interesting, actually, from this kind of double yourselves thing with Ryan Dice and even the kind of stuff I mentioned with Donald Miller, is that there's a similar kind of theme that runs through, because what they were talking about with this email kind of follow-up system is they were just saying that, look, okay, if someone's interested in something, so if someone's showing some interest that they want more information, or maybe they've opted into a lead magnet, what tends to happen is a lot of marketers, a lot of business people and stuff, like what they would do is they bang through an email that basically starts talking about, how they can help and why they can help and all about them to prove that they're good and everything like that. And right. It's a bit of like overwhelm, as if like you're just, you're punching a person in the face, to introduce yourself. When actually that first email should just be about whatever they've kind of opted into, So just say, for instance, it was a lead magnet. You can just say, do you know what? Here's your lead magnet. And by the way, I've got something really special for you. It's going to be heading into your inbox tomorrow.
Yeah.
So then that way, so then that way, that as soon as that email drops the next day, they open it. Because they want to know what it is, but rather than you've just given all the stuff at the beginning. And they haven't even read half of it, because as soon as they've seen the download button for their lead magnet, they're off to download it. You know, so you're thinking then, oh, do you know what? No one clicked the upsell, or no one clicked to go through to find out more. When actually they didn't even read it, because they've gone off to download whatever it is, because that's what they're interested in right now to sign up to. You know, I think that whole kind of upsell and downsell and all this kind of stuff, I think has been played out a lot, where or diluted a bit more. So not played out because it works really well, but it's been diluted in a lot of the kind of marketing speak and, you know, different people trying to explain things where everything needs an upsell, everything needs a sell to it and stuff like that, where, you know, why can't we just give someone something?
Did that, you know, and we've got to remember as well that even when all those touches, when those follow-ups, it's still all about them. It's still all about that person who's reading. So, you know, that I think sometimes I do see those kind of messages, that emails coming, you know, we can do this, we can do that, and we've done this. And you think, well, yeah, I don't really care. What, how are you going to help me? And each of those emails, the purpose must still be that, you know, the person you're speaking to is the hero, if you like, is the subject of that email every time you're speaking to someone in a conversation. If you're in a conversation with someone in a network meeting or across the table, you wouldn't be talking about you. You'd be talking about them, because people love to talk about themselves. So you talk about them and give them the opportunity to come back to you. So you're always asking questions about them and how things are going. And I think that's again where I see a lot of mistakes made in follow-up emails and stuff. It's just, you know, we've got this and we can do this and we can help you with that. Yeah, maybe you can, but you're now not appealing to their emotion, and that's again where
I think what happens with that, mate, is, you know, like so many episodes back in that we were talking about the know, like, and trust. Is I think that kind of stuff, right? If you do all that kind of we and stuff like that, it does build the know, like, and trust. You know, people understand, okay, who you are, what you can do and stuff like that. But what they do is, in their kind of head, is they put you in a category then, and they're just like, right, okay, if I ever need that, you know, this is that person can help. Right. Whereas, like I said, what I like to do is we kind of get into that kind of authority side, that value, and then we get into intrigue and we get into desire. And it comes back to like what you were saying. I'm not sure if you mentioned this on one of these episodes or if it was a private chat, but like you said about that hero thing, you know, is that you put the customer in the shoes of the hero. So in that story, and this goes back a bit like the Donald Miller stuff with the story brand stuff, and then building out that kind of story, you know. So whether it's you're telling your story, you're putting that customer in that kind of story for themselves, is that they're the person within that story. So for one, you're trying to resonate with them that, okay, you know, they have this problem. But you're also showing them that they can overcome it, because you're going through that story process. But what I really like about that, and it comes back to your side with the copy and stuff that you've said before, is that you're talking to that one person. You know, you're putting that one person reading it, you're putting them in the hero's shoes. You're not saying we can help everyone become a hero. You're saying, listen, you know, put that cape on, you know, because you can go and do it.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Again, so even when you're emailing, you still have to be aware. You have a kind of the general emails going out, and you still have to be aware that each email that you craft to go out in that email sequence, you are speaking to that one person, and you're saying, look, I can guide you through this process to become a superhero. You're this is the hero, you're the subject, but I can guide you through this process because I've been through it myself or whatever, to get you to a superhero status. So going from A to B, and how great your life will be, or how great your business will be when you reach outcome B from where you are now. And I think that's the whole point. It's all, I keep saying, I know I keep banging on about it, but it's all about them, and it's all about the challenges they have at that particular time. And the reason why they may not have bought from you in the first place is because perhaps the challenge wasn't really paramount in their head at the time. They had other things going on, but it could be that in a week later or 2 weeks later, suddenly that challenge has really hit them between the eyes. It could be a staff member going or whatever, something they've had to deal with, and now that challenge they have that you're appealing to is really now right in the front of their head, and they've got to get it solved, where they weren't in that position 2 weeks ago. So again, talk about you're talking about the 50% of sales are made after the fifth follow-up, That's why it's so crucial to do. Yeah, that quote should be, shouldn't it? The fortune is in the follow-ups, plural, not just the follow-up, because
Exactly
you can't follow up just once. You've got to keep going. In fact, I know the guy I used to do a lot, sort of have a kind of mentorship thing with, if you like. A guy called Nigel Botterill, who used to have this thing called the Entrepreneurs Circle, and he used to follow up until they die. You think, wow, okay, that's a bit extreme. But
I was just going to ask you then. Actually, I was going to say, like, can you follow up like too much? And I don't mean as in, the kind of the quantity, the volume initially, but I just mean over time. I mean, could you send someone an email every month and stuff like that?
Well, I know of people who've picked up business 3 years later, and quite a few people. This isn't just one-offs where they've just been constant. As you say, you might have an email sequence that starts off quite sort of every day for, say, the first 5 days. Then it becomes once every week. Exactly. Then it goes to once a month. But, still keep that once a month going, because it could be that in 3 years' time they suddenly think, do you know what? I really need that now. And because you've always been talked about, and they know you so well by the time the 3 years have gone down with so many emails, they won't read all those emails necessarily, but every now and then they'll pick up another one. So suddenly they pick up the phone and think, this is the person I need to deal with. And and
I think that there's probably been something that I've recommended for quite some years, is that how you kind of said it, is that, okay, look, if someone's interested, they will receive a bulk of emails within a short period of time. Then they will receive a bulk of emails over a longer period of time. And what I would usually recommend is that, okay, at that point, with that whole kind of high intent is gone. We've tried again, it hasn't really worked. So now we're just going to kind of put them onto a general email list that maybe they just get a kind of monthly update. From what you're saying there is, maybe there's more of a personalized email that you can chuck in. So maybe it's 6 months down the line, it could just be that one email that's triggered to that one person that says, hey, Ken, obviously you signed up back at this time. You've received, these emails, whatever you weren't ready to buy at the time, but now it's 6 months later, what's going on with you?
And I think this is I'll say it's a problem I have with newsletters, but one of the things about newsletters is they're always very general. So newsletters are a way of keeping in touch, but they're also easy to ignore because people just say, I haven't got the time now. And a newsletter headline, you can't make that specific to one person because it's a general thing. So are you wasting your time sending newsletters? Probably not. I guess it still keeps people abreast of what you're doing. But as you said, every now and then, I think you do need to send a personal email to say, yeah, how are things with you now? I've been sending you emails, and we talked a while back, and I just wondered how things were going with you, not just how things were going with the world, but with you. And
I totally
make
agree.
it for them.
I totally agree with what you're saying now with the whole the newsletter things. I'm not a fan of newsletters, and I think that no one reads them.
Very few. I don't think.
The reason for that is I think most newsletters, the company is sending out a newsletter to give the reader news about the company for what they've been up to, rather than what's the benefit to that person. And I think a newsletter, for instance, just say that your kind of thing maybe was saving money, or it was a case of different events going on in the local kind of area, then it makes sense. Send a newsletter. You're basically saying, okay, look, the new kind of rates for gas or for mortgages or this kind of stuff, this is what's going on right now. These are the best deals. Or you're saying, do you know what, this restaurant is doing a 2-for-1, that kind of thing. It's really appealing because people are going to look each month, what's going on, what do we have? That can be a weekly thing, for the restaurants and that. You do it that way. But when you get something like, say, I get stuff just from networking over the years. I get like health and safety newsletter come through, and like an accounting email come through and stuff. I don't read it. I don't think I've ever read it. I've never even opened it. It's still on the list. Work that one out.
Exactly.
Someone should be looking at that and thinking, okay, he doesn't open the emails. Let's just take him off because he's screwing numbers. That goes into so many deeper levels of marketing.
But that's interesting, isn't it? Because that's the whole. You, instead of asking them to unsubscribe, maybe you should be doing it as well. Act proactively doing it. But I think the little nail you hit on the head there was the fact that when you're telling them about how prices are changing and how it could benefit them, that's personal. When you're just saying, well, we've just done this and this has happened and that's happened, you've lost the value. You're not giving them any value. And that's, again, when I come back to, if you're saying to them, for example, that, an accountant, for example, tax laws are slightly changed. This is happening, and that may be of benefit to you. And also that person might think, oh, actually, I'm just in the process of hitting that particular turnover figure, and maybe I do need to look at my tax. It's a value to them. It was still, it wasn't a newsletter saying, well, it was a newsletter, but it's giving them some piece of value that they maybe aren't aware of, and that's the difference.
Because like you said, something's changed, So
yeah,
we take accountants or something like that, and we look at the past kind of year with pandemics, and like, if you think that with all the kind of furlough and the different schemes and stuff like that that's gone on, I mean, an accountant is in the best position, right, where they can send an email out to their list, which is, in one way, it's in general, it's to everyone. And the headline is, I mean, you'll come up with a better headline, but it could be a headline is free money.
Yeah.
People, they're getting an email from their accountant saying free money. They're going to open it up and it's going to say, did you know the government have released X, Y, Z different grants? Have you claimed? Have you not? Has your accountant told you about this? If they haven't, we should be talking. I keep my clients informed with all the changes and all this kind of stuff, and it's like that. There is where you could have something like a newsletter, that from different networking and stuff like that people have signed up to. Maybe they are there. Maybe it's not a newsletter. They're just on the list for updates or different bits of information. But that's how you can play both of it. You can. Side is that you can keep in touch with them. And also then use it as a lead generation tool to say.
And this comes back to the thing I do on the training when I do the copy training. But I know we've talked about it before, that everything should have a purpose. If you're sending out an email just for the sake of sending an email that has no purpose, guess what? It won't get read. But if it's got a purpose to say, and the purpose is for that accountant, let's take that particular example. The accountant would love their business. Okay, so that's always the purpose. And the accountant says, these are tax things that have changed. Has your accountant let you know about them? And if they think, oh, no, then you can say, if they haven't, maybe we should have a conversation. And all of a sudden, you might get 1 out of 20 suddenly think, do you know, my accountant, they're not really helping me out. They're not proactive enough. Maybe I should talk to you. And there again, you've got that kind of purpose, is that's part of your sales process. It's kind of like, it's asking, it's a very, very, very subtle call to action, but it's a call to action all the same. Maybe we should have a chat. And you've answered the question. You've put that question in their mind, but maybe you should have a chat with me, or maybe we should have a chat. But it's putting the ball in their court again.
And that's it, man. I think, I guess we're going to be coming to the end quite soon on this kind of chat. I'm not even sure how long we've been talking.
I don't know either.
but something I think that we should definitely maybe touch on for the next episode is that it is that cost of acquiring a customer. Right, so the kind of stuff that you talked about there, with like someone's on an email list, and we can send out that kind of information, and we might get one, right? And just say we only get one every other month, right? And it's like at the end of the year, you look at that kind of email that you've sent out, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It doesn't have to take a lot of time setting up or anything like that. But at the end of the year, you've got 6 clients.
Right?
And it's like, well, look, how much is 6 clients worth to you? And not just for acquisition or the 1 year, but lifetime value.
Right? Absolutely essential to know.
Just from that. But if you kind of put that concept to someone, you said, like, what we need to do, we need to spend time setting up an email system, all costs, to set up an email system that has this, that has that, that we can start getting people into, and we can start sending them emails. And it's probably going to take a good 3 months before we actually see anything really happening, as in regards to traction and people signing up. And then in 6 months time, you might get 1 customer, and then maybe every kind of 2 months you might get another customer or something like that. I think in some people's heads they think it's not worth it. There's not many customers, but who, for most businesses, an extra 6 customers a year can make a massive difference.
Yeah,
especially if it's like lifetime value and it's continuous clients and stuff like that. You know, it's crazy how, you know, that money that acquisition cost is actually quite low to what you would spend to acquire a customer from elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I think that would be a good subject to talk about, maybe, is that whole lifetime value, because I think it is over. I mean, I'm aware. I've been aware of it for a long time. So it's all, so I think it's nothing new, but I know when it came to me, when I was first told about it, going back 5 years ago, but when I was first told about it, it was like wow, I'd never thought about that before. So there's still people in the same boat who must be thinking that way, of never actually thinking about the lifetime value. You know, if that customer stays with you for 4 or 5 years, how much, what's that worth to you? And how can you keep, and I know maybe this is for the extra, for the next week, but it's also catching on to, isn't it, is that if they stay with you for 4 years, how can you keep benefiting, or how can you both keep benefiting, you from a monetary point of view and them from value, in that relationship? You know, you keep selling to them, keep selling something new. Much easier to sell to someone who's already a client or customer of yours than to get a new one.
And we get into that kind of that geometric growth as well. Then, you know, so how do you double your sales? Well, you know, if you follow up with people, well, you can then get double the amount of customers. But actually, if we can increase the amount that people are buying, or we can increase the frequency, well, actually, we can make more money.
Yeah,
you know, from existing, more money from the same customers we have today. You know, the customers coming in, than if we just doubled our customers.
Yeah.
But it's like, sometimes it's just easy to look at that front end again, you know, and I'll pay for lead generation and I'll pay for this, rather than actually working on your business and the kind of systems within your it's still marketing, you know, it's just,
of course it is,
sell. And I think that's a big thing, mate, is that a lot of people, they kind of look at that just up to that sell. Marketing is just up to that sell. Well, actually, you know, if you look at something like this isn't going to work on the podcast, I'm going to say something like this kind of length, but if you looked at it, is you had, say, 10 notches, you know, the kind of third notch is where someone comes in to buy, and that's where most people stop their marketing. But if they kept marketing all the way along, they do that. And I think a big thing as well, mate, is where we talked about why someone may not go ahead, and we'll talk about this in another podcast again, but I think it's the case of where I think sometimes that kind of promise, you know, you're putting someone into the hero shoes and stuff like that, is that it still seems a bit unbelievable. You know, you're putting them in the hero shoes as if they're like the Hulk in a movie, you know, and they're just like, this isn't going to happen. Whereas actually, what, again, those kind of notches maybe is that someone has the kind of goal, their outcome, you know, whatever the kind of problem is, solution. And if we took it as, say, you know, running a marathon, or, you know, trying to get a beach body or something like that, a lot of people will say, I can help you get a beach body, or I can help you run a marathon. And people are like, you know, can you? And it's like, how about we change that and we say, you know, we can get you running a 5K comfortably within the next 2 months, right? And then after that, we can look at X, Y, and Z to get you up to a marathon, you know, or with the beach body kind of thing. It's like, right, okay, how would you like to drop, you know, X amount of inches off of your waist within the next 2 months? You know, and then we build muscle, you know.
And it's something you said earlier on, isn't it? It's true, isn't it? Say, we can get you running the London Marathon next year. It's just overwhelmed for some people. Really? I mean, I've got to get off the chair and actually do something, you know, as opposed to say, let's just get you run around the block or something, or let's just aim for, I don't know, 2K a week or so. I don't know what it can be. You can tell I'm useless at running. But it's just
same boat. But I think this is why the kind of that Couch to 5K app came around and became so popular, because it's achievable, it's believable. If the app was, you know, Couch to Marathon, it
wouldn't work. But it's interesting, because I know a lady who's done the Couch to 5K. She has lost a massive amount of weight. She's much fitter, and now she's going on to train for marathons. Exactly. So, and that's the kind of the next level of of coaching. Okay, from 5K to 10K or something. I don't know.
We get into that kind of value ladder then that you mentioned.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of talk about it as a sales funnel, but I think, for me, the sales funnel is in quick succession rather than spread out over time. And I think it becomes more into that value ladder and the steps and stuff like that. But I think that's exactly what it is that I think so many people try to kind of put several services into one, the one product, and it becomes so unbelievable or, just unachievable for someone, and especially if someone has the wrong kind of mindset. Again, it's got to be another podcast episode, but if someone has the wrong kind of mindset to think that they can achieve that, they're going to do it. But if you let someone know that, okay, we're only going to get to this stage, well, okay, we might be able to do that.
I think so. Time for another podcast, I think.
This is it, mate. I think we'll draw this one to a close, but
okay,
probably if we were to kind of just summarize this one up and look at some bullet points, it's got to be to follow up, right? Or follow-ups.
Follow-ups. The fortune is in the follow-ups, and that's at least 5. Yeah,
you can trademark that phrase now, right?
Yeah, I think we'll do that now, won't we?
That's it. Fortune is in the follow-ups.
Follow-ups, definitely plural. Yeah.
We'll end it there. Mark, it's always been a pleasure. And
indeed.
The next episode.
Okay. Yeah, look forward to it.
See you then.
Okay. Yeah. Cheers, Jamie.